one other subject, talking of great and affable drivers, there's been a story. I didn't speak to you about this before the show, but Bob, you can talk to this. What do you think? Carlos Sainz Sr. has been potentially put forward as a name, and I think he's put himself forward as a name to potentially replace Ben Sulayem or run against him as president for the FIA. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a wonderful idea. Having spoken to Carlos on a few brief occasions, he is a very thoughtful guy. Again, a guy who expresses himself very well, if not in as many languages as Jochen Mass could. But he's the kind of guy with a personality that you'd expect from a two-time World Rally champion and Paris-Dakar winner. He thinks before he speaks and considers everything in great detail. And I think, especially given all of the drama surrounding Mohammed Ben Sulayem's administration these past 4 years, I think he would be a positive change. I know the drivers would support that. I suspect a lot of the organizers around the world would, but it's worth noting that the FIA is a big organization, 140, 150 countries represented, large and small. And I think Ben Sulayem has a tremendous advantage as the incumbent because he can deal out favors legitimately to all of these tiny auto clubs in all of these smaller countries around the world, or big countries like Indonesia that don't have a big impact on the international scene. And in that way, he can make himself, he can endear himself to those voters. And so Carlos Sainz Sr., if he's going to campaign for the job, and that election's coming up later this year, he needs to put himself out there and start meeting these people if he hasn't already. And I hope it works out well for him. I think he'd be a positive.
No conflict of interest you would worry about?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
And I think Carlos Jr. actually plays a big role in trying to also be part with George Russell of making, of making the driver's view clean. I agree with you. I don't think there's a conflict of interest because of his gravitas within the sport. Heck, he just won the Dakar again, and he's still going. I've got a lot of time for Carlos Sr. He understands the sport. He's been successful in the sport. He's massively respected. And funnily enough, when Ben Sulayem got the job, I was quite positive about it because I was one of the few people who knew who he was, having lived out in the Far East at least. But we did know very much more about rally out there and Middle Eastern rally, of which Ben Sulayem was very successful. And I thought, okay, I could see the influence that the Far East and the Middle East were having on Formula One in terms of more races. This is a good fit. But I agree with you. I have not seen the positivity from his reign so far, and I would be sad if he did get another run at it because I just don't see he's rubbed so many people up the wrong way with the swearing and so on and so forth. I just don't think he's made the impact that somebody in that role needs to, which is to be positive and to move the sport forward, to be a guiding light when Formula One is arguing about whatever, whether it be rules, Concord agreements, caps on
you can
spending.
Only do that. You can only do that too if you have the respect of the people you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And I think, with all due respect, I think Mohammed Ben Sulayem has lost a lot of respect in the eyes of a lot of the people that his office as president of the FIA requires him to serve. And I don't know if the damage he's done is enough to not disqualify him from that job, but make the whole job so much more difficult. Whereas somebody comes in with a lot of respect, with an impartial approach, with only the greater good for everyone in mind. And I think that's what Carlos would bring, Carlos Sr., that is. to the job.
Yeah, and I agree. There's not many guys so well prepared and groomed and sort of perfect for it. Tom Christensen would be another, although I doubt he'd probably want it. But yeah, good to hear your thoughts on that. And we're going to take a short break. I'll take our first break, but we're going to talk more Formula One after the break because the two big stories: Colapinto in, Ollie Oakes out. Very interesting stories, and we'll also be hearing from Down Under as we turn to journalists in New Zealand for their take on what's happening in F1. Join us after this.